We wanted to free the slaves and give them the life they deserve. President Johnson quickly rejected our idea. President Johnson would not give slaves any rights through the black codes. We tried to change slaves' lives. Johnson's disagreement with us did nothing but cause further disagreement between us.
The radical Republican plan for Reconstruction was the best option for America after the Civil War because it aimed to rebuild the South and protect the rights of freed slaves. Unlike President Andrew Johnson's more nicer and easier approach, the radical Republicans wanted to make sure that the South would treat African Americans with the fair rights of giving them citizenship and voting rights. They passed the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, which abolished slavery. This plan helped to rebuild the nation more fairly and to make sure that the South couldn't go back to its old ways of inequality. The radical plan was wanting to create a more fair and stronger America. Yeah, it's good.
Well, I was ready. Oh, but why you beautiful audience members? We stayed here today to discuss the Reconstruction of America. We believe the president of the executive branch should do so because their plans for Reconstruction promote consolidation, promote peace and forgiveness, and promote gradual reintegration. We show you how Congress plans for Reconstruction are not valuable and are not containable. Reconstruction, especially after the Civil War, should ameliorate or make national unity, economic recovery, social stability, and political stability better. The radicals, Republicans in Congress take away of the goal of Reconstruction, which will prove how the president should do it instead. Well, inevitably, they might also fail to realize how important synergy is between the North and the South. Overall, the president should do the Reconstruction because of them doing Reconstruction better than Congress, in our opinion.
No.
The 13th Amendment was proposed by Abraham Lincoln, which was a president of the United States. So I think you guys are taking credit for something you didn't necessarily even propose.
Yeah.
I also would like to mention that you impeached Johnson, and you guys lost that impeachment. So if you want him out so bad, you guys should have been able to
By
impeach
one
him.
vote?
By one vote. But simply, you weren't able to, and it shouldn't be 50-50 if you guys all in Congress want to get rid of him.
Yeah, buddy.
And you guys were actually able to counter Johnson's veto. So I don't know where you guys are connecting that with sort of progress. That's a distraction from what you're trying to do. Reconstructing should be focusing on rebuilding the country, not the president, not this or that. Purely just rebuilding the country, which is not what you guys did. You guys made it harder for the South to become one with the Union. And
Well, the South just fought against us in a war
Because they
that
wanted
killed
slavery.
750,000 people, and I don't think it's...
but you're trying to build the country.
I don't believe it's
But I do.
constitutional.
I believe it's
that,
constitutional.
Okay, I don't know. I just thought of that word.
Okay. The U.S. Constitution defines treason as leaving war against the government and aiding its enemies, which is unconstitutional in this case. And yes, what they did wasn't necessarily right by any means.
Treason.
But in this case, we have to also keep in mind that they have a lot of economic.
If we just punish them all for treason and stuff, then we go kill all of their leaders and stuff. Then why would they join us? Why would they join us if we go and punish all of them for joining us? Why would they want to come back to us?
We don't want to make them enemies.
Well, that's why no, we're not saying that they're enemies, but I just believe that it's not right. If we just let them back into, our country for Reconstruction when they just fought and killed our men in an idea that we don't believe in.
What's the evidence for that, James?
I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like, that they killed people?
What's your evidence to not bring them in right away? Like, why are you trying to
Yeah,
Slow it down.
why don't you want them to come back?
I'm not saying I don't want them to come back. I just want them to come back with less power than like people that were killed. Or,
They do have less power. They can.
I didn't mean that. I mean that.
No, you said that. You and I quote. You said.
Okay, I think audience.
Yeah,
needs to say
I think Payton can take it from here now.
audience needs.
Stump.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Okay, Tay, you start.
So for the, I was reading through like some of the stuff you guys wanted to do. Like, what were like some stuff?
Radical?
Yeah, for your guys' side. It's not really that hard of a question. Like, what would you do? What would be the consequence if like a Southerner like were to like lynch or kill a black slave? Not a freedman, my bad. A freedman, even though he had rights and everything. Would he have the same punishment, or would it be different? And
As
would you
in,
take action?
kill him because he killed a freedman.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
That was our main goal. Was the
Yeah.
freedmen to the right.
Yeah. So that person would most likely go to jail for
What
at
they
least
did.
decently long time. No, I said would like as in because he said what would your response be? Yeah, and I didn't
What
want
would your punishment be?
Jail time.
at least jail time.
Well, I just
Yeah,
think
what-
that
What would you do? What would
when
your-
there's someone that's doing something bad, you have to come up with a punishment that's at least fair to them. And you said it was a black freedman type of thing. They don't have anywhere else to go. Really, they're poor, and so after jail, you're kind of hindering them. The best thing that you can really do is sort of put them in jail, but offer them some sort of like stuff after they're
Compensation
out.
or
Compensation.
whatever.
So the president was able to establish the Freedmen's Bureau, which helped freedmen, and I don't see the radical Republicans really helping with that very much. They want to, but when they're in Congress and they're overpowering, the president, he's not able to get things done, and Lincoln was able to pass the Freedmen's Bureau, but I don't know what the radical Republicans have done for that.
Okay, I have a question for the presidential side. So, if you only have 10% of the states sign a loyalty agreement, what's to say the rest of the South won't rebel again? What's to say the rest of the state won't rebel again that didn't sign the loyalty agreement?
It's
Man,
not
this is a
clicking.
horrible question. Like,
Yeah, this I'm like I don't
but
get it.
they need an answer.
10% isn't
She just
enough.
doesn't- She's asking if they're gonna rebel again.
Because you only have 10% sign the agreement. So what's to say that the rest aren't going to rebel again that
The
didn't sign the
90%
agreement?
that weren't forced
Exactly.
to.
Well, that's just like
the
the
fact that
start.
they know that they
That's
got.
just a start.
Yeah, it's just like the start of it.
And
like,
keep in
they're
mind,
gonna keep going.
the Union has won this by now.
Yeah.
So if they were to rebel again, they know in their mind they're probably going to lose again. And that would hurt their economy during this time.
And they lose more people.
And their economy is already pretty much down the drain. They still have resources, keep that in mind. But they do need the North and the South connect in order to, because they have trains and the South really doesn't. And so in order to boost everyone's economy, they need to stay together. And
Okay.
the South kind of won't really rebel in that.
And then for the radical, do you think
we got
the country is stable enough to free all the slaves right now?
Yes. Kind of.
With how much inflation has gone up with like the spending of everything? Because that's what you guys want to do, right?
Yes.
Free
that's
free
our
all
goal.
of them?
That is our goal.
Yes,
Not saying
but-
we're not just gonna like
Is it stable
release all the
enough?
slaves.
Is the South stable enough? Without their slaves to do their plantation
The
work?
South is not stable. All right, you asked. Okay.
Okay,
so
Teddy.
the South, I believe, is not stable enough because they relied.
So why would we free all the slaves
The
then?
blacks were
I don't know.
politically unprepared.
Yes, that's true. I don't know.
So why would we
Maybe
free
some
them? Because
arguing.
they don't have enough, The economy isn't good enough for that.
You're saying the southern. So you're saying the southern economy.
They
is
can't.
Not ready.
Yeah,
for
they can't run
slavery.
without their slaves. Go ahead.
These fine gentlemen. And they.
These presidential whatever. What are necessarily the purpose of the black codes besides? All right, ready. President Johnson created more problems in our society than we need. We had a radical Republican plan for Reconstruction, hoping to end the plantation system. We wanted to free the slaves and give them the life they deserve. President Johnson quickly rejected our idea. President Johnson would not give slaves. What, for the presidential side, what is the main purpose of the Black Codes besides to further contain, I don't know, I'm not going to say enslave, but contain the freedmen that you don't like
Sure.
free?
Right. First of all, in order to get that passed, you have to have Congress approve that. So, I don't know where your question comes into that, because the president has power in the South, and the Congress has power as well. But Congress is radical Republicans, right? They're mostly in there, so they're going to believe for black. So
They won't pass that. They're not going to pass
they're not going to really want to pass that, are they? Because they believe in blacks' rights. So I don't know, James.
Why was it
if it
proposed?
were
Why-
to
why?
get to proposed, there's going to be a gradual reintegration. You don't want the South to revolt, right?
No.
You don't want them to rebel. So in order to do that, you have to sort of pass a law that sort of restricts them temporarily, and just gradually make sure that they don't rebel. Right? You don't want to anger them, but slowly changing them into no slaves immediately would piss them off, right? They're all free, and it's a jealousy type of thing.
So the South is just, they would be angered that they don't have any, like a workforce kind of for their plantations,
Right,
and
and
they would rebel.
yeah.
You're saying? Okay, yeah.
So yeah, slowing it down is pretty much the goal. Again, they probably won't rebel, but
Okay, Teddy, you're up for a question.
So for the presidential side, if, like, going back to what Mady said, the 10%, if it was the 10%, if the 10% did happen, and since we wanted since they wanted the president, for the Republicans to be elected, they allowed less power. They wanted.
Alright, Teddy.
Right, Teddy, new question.
You have to hear me out.
no, reintegrate.
Okay, so since the Republicans wanted a president, they took out their people in the Southern Territory, which is mostly Democratic territory. They took out the people, right? But technically, it's only like 10% of the country still offered to you, and since there's less people in there, can't they just immediately rebel again?
Immediately rebel because they're
Not
Democratic
representative
or like
or what?
different.
Because, well, like, if you're looking at like the
Yeah, it
Civil
is.
War, most Democrats now are in the South, and most Republicans are in the North. So technically,
So you're saying like they like stack the house? What do you mean?
they
Stack the house with because it's gonna be all Republicans.
That's what they do.
So the North
Yeah,
is like
that's-
all Republicans, and the bottom is all Democrats. So,
Right.
like,
Well,
wouldn't, like,
yeah.
Okay.
Like that's obviously.
Okay, I have a question for the radical now. Now this ties in with the last one. So by freeing all slaves right away, do you think that would harm the South economy, therefore harming the rest of America? Because the rest of America runs on the South economy for, all of their plantations and their crops. So who's gonna tend to the crops?
The Southern people have plenty of poor people that would be willing to take a job. I believe that they would not be able to mass produce all of their crops as large as they have been able to, which would hinder.
So why would we free all the
northern
slaves right now?
factors. Because
But they do get people to
you could. Well, basically, what they're gonna try to do, the South, is that they are going to basically try to enslave the South or enslave the black people again to work for them, which still allows their plantations to run and provides food and stuff.
Because they do sharecropping, right?
Yes.
So how is that like freeing the slaves then? Like they're basically just enslaved again because they're under their control.
They should be getting paid. Well, if that they are actually free, then they shouldn't be nowhere near like slavery again. If the South is willing to uphold their morals, I will say.
They don't pay them enough though. Like they give
Are they
them
getting paid?
they give them a tiny bit though, so they're still underneath their control.
They're getting paid though.
They're getting paid. They're still free. But I think it's if the South is willing to be
So you're letting
morally correct, then we should be okay.
They aren't morally correct.
I don't know. See, that's not our problem.
Let's
That's not
move
our
on.
problem.
We get this.
Okay, can we
Carly, do you have anything?
Oh, okay. So the Ku Klux Klan formed in the post-radical Republicans in 1865. Oh no, it's like.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
revolting against the radical Republicans because the radical Republicans created a new terrorist group, right? They were too quickly with their integration of trying to get freedmen free to the point where now you have the Ku Klux Klan.
How are you blaming this on us? That is a morally incorrect group that should.
Exactly, but that was formed to oppose you guys. Because you guys are all in Congress.
How is this our fault?
You were all in Congress, correct? And actually, one of them died. And I want to point out also that Charles Sumner is still on the radical Republican side. And if you don't know, he assaulted Andrew Butler. Yeah. So I don't know if you want.
Okay, let's do closing statements now. Closing statements. We need to wrap this up. Okay. Who wants to do their closing statement? Closing statement. Close.
Not okay. In front of everybody.
That's what that guy's name was. Charles Sumner was the guy that beat the guy up.
Guys, okay, closing statements. Who's starting?
Okay. Our side, we believe that as a country, we just need an economic rebuilding of our country after the Civil War, and we also just need to reunite our current nation and try to be lenient with the South to keep everyone at peace. Also, at the moment, we just want to focus on keeping our country together, but later we can resolve the slavery issue. And the radical Republicans are just trying to solve violence with violence. This is not a good way to keep our country together. After just dealing with the Civil War and an assassination of our president, the last thing we need is an impeachment. And this will also cause an uproar in our country. Furthermore, the South didn't technically leave the Union, so they should still be in the Union after the war. And there were a lot of Southern leaders that were former Confederates, so we still need them to help run the economic and political state of our country. Yep. These are all the.
How much that was ChatGPT?
And then, these are all the reasons the presidential fights for.
Wow.
Right.
Oh god. What?